Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, death slayers, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And today I want to take a closer look at this idea of whether the killing of those 3 Israeli students was an Israeli false flag event. And one of the reasons why I decided this story was a little more interesting to look at was because an article that brought up a plan from 2001 called the Dagon Plan, and that was for Operation Justified Vengeance, another one of those catchy Israeli operation titles. And in this plan, Israeli deaths are factored in as an inevitability, utilizing politics and media to use to instigate a pre-planned offensive with a pre-planned agenda and goals. And in a quote from that earlier plan, which was presented by then Mossad chief, and he said, quote, to be launched immediately following the next bombing and would last about a month and is expected to result in the deaths of hundreds of Israelis and thousands of Palestinians, unquote. So, first of all, one of the things that this reveals that's interesting is the whole idea of a contingency plan. And that's the aspect of this that's actually not that controversial. Every government, every military has a contingency plan. In this case, they decided there would be the inevitable killings or retribution, and then they would instigate this pre-planned offensive. But one of the things that makes this a little more questionable is the fact that they essentially wait for an opportunity to launch a pre-planned agenda, a pre-planned offensive operation. In this case, they already knew that they had a month's worth of damage that they wanted to do as a result of any incident. And and also the fact that they realized that proportionately the casualties are going to be extremely heavy on the Palestinian side and not so much on the Israeli side. So that's what we get from this plan. And it also shows us that Israel develops these kind of plans. And unfortunately, there is much to be said about this latest operation that smacks of the same sort of policy and the same sort of pre-planned agenda, just looking for an excuse. And it almost doesn't really matter who actually killed the 3 students, and whether it was a Mossad operation, whether it never really happened at all, or whether, of course, they blame it on Hamas. And one of the interesting aspects of this story that compares with the previous one is that, once again, we have a Mossad chief, Pardo, laying out a scenario that was very much like the one that unfolded. And he brought this up previous to the events unfolding. And also we have to look at it and see that the assault on Gaza has all the earmarks of a pre-planned operation with a specific agenda. And of course I brought up a lot of the specifics about that in my previous video about this assault. What are all the reasons for an Israeli strike in Gaza? And of course some of the information also involves the gas fields discovered off the coast of Gaza, which of course Israel wants to control. So at some point it seems inevitable that Israel will annex not only the Golan Heights out of this Syrian civil war, but they will also fully annex the West Bank and Gaza eventually. And but anyway, let's get back to the story, because another one of the things that's peculiar about it is the Israelis, of course, immediately blame the deaths on Hamas. And we also know that the emergency calls from the students have Hebrew voices, or speaking Hebrew, to direct them. And therefore, they were either Israeli soldiers that had these 3 students, or conceivably their Palestinian captives, capturers could be speaking Hebrew. But we also know that Israel knew the boys were dead immediately, and yet they still carried out their agenda, ended up killing 6 Palestinians and arresting over 500 and raiding over 1,500 homes. And that belies the fact that they have some other agendas going on here and have already decided that they will use this event to punish Hamas, and as the Israelis apparently refer to it, occasionally they have to mow the grass in Gaza. But to get back to that, we also have ISIS, oddly, taking credit for this, not Hamas, and so then we have to look at the Israeli connection with ISIS. So on the one hand, we have ISIS claiming that they killed these 3 students, and yet we have the same Israeli government has a field hospital in Golan Heights in which members of ISIS are taken care of. So this weird relationship between Israel and ISIS, and the fact that ISIS claimed to kill these 3 students, is something certainly worth mulling over. And so now we have over here the assault continues, and the ceasefire on and off brokered by Egypt. We have over 2,000 sites bombed. We have 200 killed. We have over 1,500 injured, and of course vast amounts of the infrastructure destroyed. Problems with water, and this will continue to be an unfolding tragedy. And once again, to get back to the original thought, there appears to be a vast agenda here that was planned out. And like I say, it's debatable whether this is just a contingency plan with an agenda for the next event, or if the event is created in order to perpetrate the event. It almost doesn't matter. Look at the situation in the United States with the Patriot Act. Was written long before 9/11, and a lot of the security, national security state and police state that we have now developing in the United States was all on the trajectory long before 9/11. So that's just the way these events work. So in the end, like I say, I guess the bottom line is it's really a moot point whether they have a contingency plan, wait for the event to happen, and then perpetrate their agenda, or whether they're actively involved in creating the event in order to perpetrate the agenda. Because in the end, certainly the results are the same. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.